My name's G. Brian Benson, and I'm an actor and I'm an author, and I live in Los Angeles, California. I'm going to go off script for about 30 seconds here and share a story that happened to me this morning on the way here. As I was driving over, I turned some music on to kind of pump myself up, and a song came on that had the lyrics, "Although I have no place to hide, I don't think I'm scared." And I kind of got emotional when I heard that, because if you knew all that I've done the last 6 years to be able to stand up here on stage in front of you, it really touched me. So I'm one of those that believes that there really are no accidents, and so it just it was kind of cool. All right, back to my story. 6 years ago, I was running my family's business. We had a golf center in Salem, Oregon, which I'd been running for 11 years. It consisted of a driving range, a retail golf store, and a 9-hole par 3 golf course. Now, I was unhappy. I was really unhappy. You know, I know a lot of people give their left arm to have a job like that, but a part of me felt like I wasn't being my true, authentic self. And that troubled me. Up to that point in my life, I'd had a lot of really nice accomplishments. I rode my bicycle across the United States. I finished over 50 triathlons, including 4 Ironman distance races. I traveled to Europe a handful of times, and I was running a successful business. So part of me felt like I had a good understanding of what success meant and felt like, but I wasn't feeling that way in my job or in my life anymore. I felt like I had this giant gift inside of me that wanted to come out. Although I had no idea what it was, I just knew that it needed to be released. So I left the business. Now, I had no idea what I was going to do with the rest of my life, but I trusted my decision. I want to share with you 5 things that I learned and utilized which helped me find my personal freedom after leaving my job. Because I found that there's no greater gift that you can give yourself and the world than simply learning how to be yourself and sharing what is inside of you. Number 1, listen to your intuition and be open to whatever comes your way. Well, the process of leaving the business actually took me a year after my decision to leave. My father was understanding of my plans, but he also decided to sell the business because of them, which kept me around until we could find a buyer. And that last year was really tough for me. I so wanted to begin the rest of my life. But staying that final year turned out to be a blessing in disguise. As that last year dragged on, I began to fall out of life balance. And I let my unhappiness really get to me, and it started to filter into all areas of my life, until one day I just kind of forced myself to sit down and try to come up with a handful of things that I felt would help keep me in balance and centered during this difficult time. Here's what I came up with. Make sure that I was drinking enough water. Make sure that I was getting some daily exercise. Make sure that I was getting enough sleep. Make sure that I was allowing myself to have some quiet time every day, because that's how I regenerate. And finally, make sure that I was allowing myself to be creative every day. And for me at that time in my life, being creative was to play my guitar. That was a creative outlet. So that's what I did, and I found out that it really, really helped me. So much so that I kind of felt like, maybe I should expand my list and write a book to help other people find balance as well. Now, I'd never written a book before, but I just felt like I was supposed to do it, so I did. And after I self-published it, it ended up winning a couple of awards, which totally shocked me. But more importantly, it gave me the direction that I needed after leaving the business. I then decided to move to Reno, Nevada, to be near my son who lived in Northern California. And I decided to kind of try to reinvent myself, although at the time I didn't really know what that meant. But I was willing to try and find out. Number 2, step out of your comfort zone. Well, after I wrote the book, I began to feel like maybe I needed to learn how to become more comfortable in front of folks. Now, that was a terrifying prospect for me, because I'm kind of an introvert by nature, and the last thing that I wanted to do was give a speech or talk in front of a group of people. But I honored what my intuition was telling me, and I began the process of learning how to become more comfortable in front of folks. I started off by taking a couple of community college speech classes. I did Toastmasters for a while. I co-hosted my own internet radio show. And I created an interactive workshop that I could offer people, which I called An Introduction to Balance, and I tied it in with my book. So basically, I had my intro memorized, which I gave to the group, and then I would hand out some worksheets, and we would discuss their answers together as a group. Now, I thought I was being really clever because it was a way for me to speak and be in front of others without having to talk the whole time. But I found that it worked out really, really well for all of us. So I decided to take my show on the road, so to speak, and I got the idea to create a workshop and book signing tour. And in the span of just 3 weeks, I set up a 23-day, 15-stop, 5-state trip. The first place that I spoke at, but most of the places that I spoke at were basically bookstores or non-denominational churches. The first place that I spoke at was in the tiny farming community of Delta, Utah, where I was invited to speak at their monthly Chamber of Commerce luncheon, which was held in the banquet room of a local Mexican restaurant. So there I was, nervous as heck, about ready to give my first workshop to a group of strangers, is that I'm trying to get them to interact with me. They're trying to interact with their delicious Mexican food. But I survived, and the whole trip ended up becoming just one big learning experience. You know, I was humbled and embarrassed more than a few times when no one showed up to some of my events, and I was ecstatic when I had 20 at another. But each step out of my comfort zone was an opportunity for me to learn, grow, and gain confidence. Number 3, stay in life balance. It's no coincidence that my first book was on a whole bunch of different ways to stay in life balance, because as I began to get busier with more books and other projects, staying in balance kind of became my rock, my foundation. And I found that when I was in balance, I could lead a proactive life instead of a reactive life, which meant when opportunities came my way, I could take advantage of them because I was grounded and I was ready. My favorite way to stay in balance is to go hike in nature. It provides me some exercise, it helps clear my head, but most importantly, I feel like it helps keep my channels clear, which allows my intuition to come in stronger. And that's where I get my ideas and inspiration from. Taking breaks, eating healthy, meditation, and surrounding myself with other positive, creative people are other ways that I've found that help me stay in balance. Number 4, have fun and enjoy the ride. This lesson probably took me the longest to learn, and I'm still working on it just a little bit. As I began to have a little bit of success with my books, I began to put a lot of pressure on myself to be perfect. I mean, after all, here I was writing self-help books. I began to feel like I needed to be the one who had it all figured out, and so I tried to act like I did, even though I didn't. You know, I began to lose the fun, sometimes goofy guy that I could be. I even began to monitor what I posted on my Facebook pages, feeling like they needed to resonate to some guru-like standard. And although I was on this amazing journey of self-growth and discovery, I took a few steps backwards because I wasn't sharing all of me. And it wasn't until I realized that my imperfections were what made me authentic and real did I begin to truly enjoy my life. I didn't need to be Superman. I just needed to be me. Number 5, there are no rules, expect the unexpected. I had no intention of becoming an actor or an author. They weren't even on my radar. The only reason I took a beginning acting class a few years back was because I felt like it would be another tool that would help me become more comfortable in front of people. But I would soon find out that it would be an important part of my self-growth and creativity process. Shortly after beginning that acting class, I had an idea come to me in the form of a dream that I had about a street guitarist. When I woke up, I tried to make some sense of it, and I wrote it down, and at the time, I was a closet guitarist. I'd never played in front of anybody before, but I really loved to play the blues. Well, I ended up making a phone call to a young filmmaker whom I'd recently met by the name of Michael Sweeney, and I asked him if he wanted to hear an idea that I had about a potential short film. Well, we got together a couple days later, and he loved it. And no more than 2 weeks after that, we were on the streets of Reno, Nevada, filming a movie that I wrote and acted in called Guitar Man. Now, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to do it. I had a vision. And with Michael's help, we made it happen. And it was such an empowering experience for me. I felt totally alive. I'd never acted before. I'd never played guitar in front of anybody before, but yet there I was doing it on film. Here's a short clip from Guitar Man. Having been playing on the streets for a while, I've become pretty adept at figuring people out and why they pay me money. Well, it's like this. Some folks give me money out of the kindness of their heart, while others pay me because they like my playing. And finally, there are those that pay to impress someone they're with. And then there's John. He's a professional comedian.
I've been a cop, a United States
funny
Deputy
guy.
Marshal, a trash man. I've had every crappy job there is, so what's left but comedian, you know? I mean, my father used to tell me all the time, he says, whenever he was tired, I was saying, go out and play in traffic. And when it was foggy out, he'd make us run between headlights just to see if they were cars or motorcycles. I hate driving anymore, it's ridiculous, you know. I'm driving down the road and I'm behind this young lady and she's back and forth. I dropped my razor and my cell phone. I didn't know which way to turn. Jesus.
Oh, man. You know, I always feel better after hanging around John. I heard someone once say that only by giving are you able to receive. Acting, just like writing, found me simply because I was listening to my intuition. I had no expectations. I just kept an open mind, and I showed up. And once I realized that there were no rules, and that my path didn't have to look like anybody else's, I relaxed, and my whole world opened up for me. I now happily expect the unexpected. I want to share a poem with you that I wrote a few years ago called Light. Can you see your light inside you? It shines both day and night, leading you both near and far, keeping your path in sight. Can you feel your light inside you as it courses through your veins, inspired greatness housed within, to share for all to gain? Can you taste your light inside you, flavored sweet and pure? Water, land, and truthful food grant energy and cures. Can you hear your light inside you as it comes to you in song, guiding you to flow each day, helping you stay strong? Can you touch your light inside you? Compassion, joy, and heat, a tender kiss, a warm embrace, rituals to be complete. Can you sense your light inside you? It's spoken from within, hunches, feelings, heartfelt signs, giving life a whole new spin. And will you trust your light inside you? Your gifts, your being, your core. True greatness lay in wait, to be shared, enjoyed, explored. Looking back on my experiences, I didn't reinvent myself, but rather, I peeled away and unraveled who I wasn't. By being myself, I freed myself. And that is my wish for you. Thank you.